Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Coding Cat, the series where I teach ordinary people how to code. So in this video, I'm going to be teaching you about logical statements. And we already did a bit of that last lesson, but I'm going to talk to you about if, else, and some other stuff. First, let's make a new script in script service. Episode 3. So episode 2, we experimented with numbers and, comparisons, and also booleans. But now I'm going to teach you about if statements. So, let's create a part in the workspace. Let's call this part, special. This part is very special. Now, let's say that I wanted to make a command. Let's say I wanted to make something happen, but only if this part exists. I would say if. Okay, so first I would say variable. Local part equals game.workspace.special. Now, these are condition commands. So if, we use if in our daily lives, probably. So if special. No. Not special. If part, then print hi. Now this may look confusing, but it goes into booleans that we learned last episode. So right now, part is true. Well, no, not really. What I'm saying is, if this part is false, then this will not happen. If this part is nil, meaning it does not exist, this will not happen. But if I set it to true, I don't think this will happen. I don't know. But what you need to know is that it exists, and it's asking if this part exists. If this part exists and it's not false. So this is what it should. So it should be saying, if this part exists and it is not nil or false, then print hi. This will not work because there's a lot of terms that aren't in Lua, but I hope you see where I'm going with this. So if we open the output and we press play, see it right here, it says hi, because it exists. It is not false and it is not nil. It exists. But let's say I wanted to get rid of it. So let's say else print goodbye. And now let's delete this. And it does not work because it does not exist. So let me think of a way for this to work. I guess I might as well teach you about the destroy command, because I feel like I should have taught it to you guys already, even though I haven't. So this is the destroy command. It does what the name implies. It destroys stuff. Now I'm going to teach you about another thing, task.wait. It can also be written as wait, but wait causes more lag. Using wait causes more lag. For the longest time I used wait, and then I found out how bad it was. You always want to use task.wait. And so in here is how many seconds we are going to wait before this happens. This pauses the script for however many seconds are in here. So let's say we want to wait 5 seconds, and then we're going to take parts and destroy it. So what this is doing is, after 5 seconds of the game existing, we're going to destroy the part. And so this script is going to run and says if the part exists and it's not nil or false, then we're going to print hi. But because the part does not exist, it's going to print goodbye. Why is that not working? Oh, I know why. It's because I had to wait 5 seconds. Now you see, it's still printed hi, and that's because scripts are weird. Computers are very, very fast, actually, despite, a lot of slow internets out there. But computers are fast. We want we want to wait a small amount of time, so this prints goodbye. So we're gonna wait 5 seconds again. And it still does that. I guess I need to put in a number. Alright, so now we wanted it to be destroyed. Now it's gonna say goodbye. Why is that not working? Part does not exist. It is destroyed. Gone, reduced to atoms. Why do you keep printing? What if I put part equals true? I'm not sure that's gonna work. Alright, so this is weird. Okay, so right now, it is true, because this part exists. It is not false, which means it does not exist, and it's not nil, which means it does not have value. This has value, and it exists. And we're saying, if this part exists, then we're gonna print, if this part exists, and it has value, and all that kind of stuff, it's going to print hi. But if it doesn't, else, we're gonna print goodbye. And the reason I'm using 2 equal signs is because computers are weird. They're strange, you know? They do stuff like that. You need this for whatever reason. So what we're saying is, if this, then we're gonna print hi. But if this is not true, so if not this, then we're gonna do this. But there's also a command called elseif. So let's say I want to add a new part. Let's just put in my avatar, my Willy Wonka avatar, because I like Willy Wonka. Elseif game.workspace.rig, and it's the only part in it's not the only thing in the game called rig, so you know. Then print. Then print Willy Wonka lives. He lives. So elseif kind of works like else, except you're allowed to add another condition. See, Willy Wonka lives. So what this is saying is, if this is not true, then we have another condition. And if this is not true, then we will do this no matter what. So I hope that makes sense. Now let's try and delete Willy Wonka. I'm sorry, Willy Wonka, but it's time for you to die. Game.workspace.rig destroy. I'm sorry, Willy Wonka, it's time for you to die. You had a good run, but it is time for you to die. And so now we're gonna wait 5 seconds. Alright, so I just watched an identical version of myself die in front of me. And this isn't working still. I think I know why. We need to set this to a variable. Local rig equals game.workspace.rig. Rig destroy. Now this is going to be our command. So else if rig equals true, then alright, so let me just watch a perfect clone of myself die before my eyes. Alright. And right here it says goodbye, because this part doesn't exist, so it's gonna go to this thing. So part does not exist. So it's gonna say, okay, since that does not exist, we're gonna do something else. If this exists, and since it doesn't, we're gonna go to this no matter what. Now, there's also another way to do if statements, and that's if and not. So if not part equals true, then print I don't exist. And this is breaking. I don't know why this is breaking. Okay, so let's find another way to use it. And rig equals true. So what this is gonna do is, this is the condition statement, and this is the condition. So the part needs to exist, and Willy Wonka needs to exist. But if they're both dead, let's watch my brother die again. Alright, so since they're both dead, it's not going to do anything because they're both dead. This has to be true in order for this to happen. But let's say I don't want it. Let's say I want this. Okay. So let's say I want this rig to be dead. Let's say I still want this to happen, but only if this guy no longer exists. So we're gonna stop that. And we're gonna wait 5 seconds. And it isn't working. So what this did is set it to. So there's an easier way for me to teach you not. So let's print not true. And print is false. Because not changes whatever comes after it, typically a boolean. Actually, I think it's always a boolean to be the opposite of what it is. I don't think nil has an opposite, but let's just experiment. I really do not think nil has an opposite. Okay, so the opposite of nil is true, but the opposite of true is false. Yeah, computers are weird. Lua is weird. So there's another command called or. This is I rarely ever use this, but I feel like it's worth mentioning. So let's bring back everything that we destroyed. So let's say if this part equals true, or rig equals true, then we're gonna do this. So what this is saying is, if this thing exists, then we're gonna do this. But if it doesn't exist, then okay, here's a second condition for the same command. I hope that makes sense. See right here? Only one of them is going to die. Alright, my brother's dead. And this is not working. Again. Why? Maybe I need to switch the order. And that's not working because I need to add that. Okay, so now we're gonna watch my brother die again. Alright, so now he's dead. And this still isn't working. Okay, so okay, I know another way we can teach or, but it's kind of complicated for this level. So sometimes, like, let's put that guy really far away. Now local rig equals game.workspace.rig. But it's really far away from us, so there's a chance that it's not going to load because Roblox has this thing called streaming, which makes it so if it's too far away, it simply does not exist. Object permanency does not exist in this world. Or wait. I think that's what we're going for. Or a game.workspace. Okay, so I guess I'll teach or to you guys in another video because it's a bit more complicated. I know how to use it. It's a bit more complicated than, you know, than and not. I'm gonna try and teach you something very briefly. So we're gonna open starter player, and then starter player scripts. We're gonna put a local script into starter player. Local scripts are special because they only affect the client. Let me show you the difference between the client and the server. So right here, this is the server. It is the entire world. This is the client. It is the player's entire world. If I add a new part inside of the client, it will not exist for the server because it's only on the client. But if I add a part into the server, it's going to appear for the client because the server the client is affected by the server, but the server is not affected by the client. I hope that makes sense. So in our local script, we're gonna say local character equals game. So game, this entire world, equals game dot players. So right here, dot local player. Local player is, you know, who you are playing as. So let's say print character. See, I am PokeFan0041449. That's my username. It is just the player, you. It is you, the person who is playing the game. It is you. But every player has a character. Let me show you what a character is. So right here, I am not actually this guy. I am actually this guy right here, but this guy needs a body. So inside of workspace is this guy. He is the character. He is my character. And yeah, he's the character. So local player is this guy right here. Character is this guy right here in the workspace. Dot character. But let's say, because if I die for a very, very, very brief moment, my character won't exist. Watch that. See, for a very brief moment, he doesn't exist. And you might think that might not cause anything. But see, right here, it says nil, because my character no longer exists. It's gonna cause issues. So we're gonna wait. So we're gonna say game.players.localPlayer. Character added wait. I think that's how it works. So what this is going to do is, okay. So what this is going to do is, if this guy exists, then he is this guy. But if he doesn't, or we can do this. So what this is doing, it's waiting for my character to be loaded, because I show you, when I die, my character does not exist for a brief second, and that's going to cause things to break. So it's going to wait for me to load, and then it's going to do this. I hope that makes sense. But this video was a bit longer than the last one. But because I taught you a couple things that I did not expect to teach you. I did not expect to teach you destroy. I did not expect to teach you task.wait. And I did not expect to teach you about local player or character. Or character.addedWait. So wait, what this is doing is it's waiting for a character to be added. So dot character added, and wait. We're gonna wait for the character to be added. If you have any more questions about this, then please tell me, because I think I sometimes I feel like things that I know are easy to understand, but they're not. So yeah, I hope you learned something today, because if you did learn something, then I did my job. Even if you learned that I'm terrible at explaining things, I did my job. Goodbye.